So what is Mutapa? Who are we? Even Jesus Christ asked, what do people say, who are you? So people always ask in Zimbabwe, who is the Mutapa Investment Fund? Mutapa Investment Fund is the sovereign wealth fund of Zimbabwe, which was established through an Act of Parliament in 2014 under the Sovereign Wealth Fund Act of Zimbabwe, Chapter 2220. It was remodeled and renamed Mutapa Investment Fund. So we use the same act, but it was remodeled. Why was it remodeled in 2023? It was remodeled because the way it was supposed to operate in 2014, the seed capital for the fund was supposed to come from fiscal surpluses, balance of payment surpluses, and the royalties, the dividends. But your guess and knowledge is good as mine. We never had fiscal surpluses, neither did we have balance of payment surpluses. So government found necessary and saw it necessary and fit that we need to have a new strategy. Therefore, it was remodeled that instead of the funds from the fiscal surpluses that don't exist, let's now have companies which are under government reposed or vested onto the fund, which means it's become an investment fund as opposed to a resource-based fund. If you go to Botswana, they talk about the Pula Fund, which is based coming from diamonds. If you go to Norway, it comes from gas and oil. Now Zimbabwe, we took a benchmark of other countries like Singapore, Ethiopia. In Singapore, they talk about ZESA, which is a group entities go together, sweat their capital, sweat their balance sheets, and make money for Zimbabwe. So, when you look at the second country, they must say the global footprint of sovereign funds is quite huge in the whole world. Currently, sovereign funds or funds under management by sovereign funds is about 15.3 trillion. Zimbabwe only starting. So there is nothing new under the sun. It's true. I said in Ecclesiastes, I think it's chapter 1, verse 9. There is nothing new under the sun. So what we are doing in Zimbabwe, I was here, people said that we got questions about Mutapa, about sovereign fund. Colleagues, there is nothing new under the sun. It was done before and others started doing it, where you bet on the screen or on this platform called sovereign fund. So nothing is new under the sun. So what we are doing is being done before, is being done by others. So let's not be left behind. So the next slide. The next slide just show you the global distribution of funds under management. The major ones, there are plenty. The largest wealth sovereign funds are Norway has got more than $2 trillion of funds under management. In the Norway government pension fund. So you see that that's why Europe is that Europe there, the bigger sovereign fund there is Norway. If you go to Asia, the largest there is China Investment Corporation. They're around 1.6, 1.5 trillion. This figure keep on changing because each day they make money. If you look at the MENA region, that's Middle East and North Africa, they're called MENA. You are looking at Dubai, UAE, Badara, Dubai Investment Corporation, they are there. So those are the largest ones. I didn't say countries more than, there are more than 165 sovereign funds that exist currently. But these are the distribution. So what we are doing here today what we are doing in Zimbabwe has been done many, many years ago by people who knew what they were doing. And we also did it in 2014, but it did not come up because operationally, because of lack of funds to put into the fund. That will go about the solution. So my point here is that when you talk about Mutapa, it has been done before. The next slide. So, what is our vision is the sovereign fund of Zimbabwe, which is called the Mutapa Investment Fund. Our vision is very simple: to secure a successful future for Zimbabwe. It's very bullish. We didn't say for Mutapa Investment. We want to secure the citizens of Zimbabwe's future. We look at ourselves as we aspire to be the true Josephs of this country. The Joseph from the Boyaro, who was able to mobilize feed or food security. So we want to secure from his future. That's our vision. In our mission to achieve that, we need to preserve and grow wealth on a sustainable basis from the entities under Mutapa whom we are managing and looking after. And our values are very simple. We want to be accountable. We want to be transparent, excellence in whatever we do. We are committed to do what is right, even if it's very difficult to do so. We want to take it in sustainability. And that's one of the reasons why we are here. Transparency and be open to the community, to citizens, through the university. And the Mutapa Investment Fund is a product of research by ZESA, State Enterprise Regulatory Authority, and the agency, which is sits in the President's office. When they reach the crossroads and say, how do we transform the entities in Zimbabwe which are under government? So there are many schools of thought, either to have a central entity running those entities, SOEs, or to put them under Ministry of Finance, or put them under government, under the President's office. The decision was therefore arrived that no, let's have a centralized authority or entity that looks after these entities for purposes of bringing efficiency, elimination of bureaucracy, red tape, and to ensure that there is efficiency and conformity, uniformity in running these entities. So that's what we do. And that's what we did, what was happening. And therefore, the fund is a transformative, it's a transformation agenda of government of Zimbabwe. And it is also part of the national development agenda of government of Zimbabwe. So what are our objectives? Objectives as specified in the Act that I have just said. So we also have Act, Section 4 of the Act spells out our objectives. Very clear. To make secure investments for the benefit of enjoyment of current and future generations. So everyone is not being left behind. Leaving no one and no place behind. The current and those people who have been born, they've got a stake in this company or this entity. Support the development objectives of the Zimbabwe, including its long-term economic and social development. To support fiscal or macroeconomic stabilization, in particular to supplement the revenues of the Zimbabwean government. To contribute to the reserves of Zimbabwe from the net returns on its investments. So when you invest in an entity, tier 1, net 1 makes money, the profits, the dividends, so declared, come to the fund. The fund uses money to create more money for the future. So it means the CEOs and entities under Mutapa, they got a big role to play in this equation. We won't be successful without making sure that those entities under Mutapa are successful. Therefore, our strategy that we shall talk about is linked and strategized, is meant to link to that. Then contribute to the revenues, as I've said. And then therefore the fund is looking at three things. It's intergenerational equity, it's macroeconomic stabilization, it's to generate economic benefits for the citizens of Zimbabwe. So it's a very simple objective and very difficult to achieve because it needs all of us to work together as a team. What is our mandate? Therefore, our mandate, which has been derived from the objectives, as specified in the Act of Parliament of Zimbabwe. Our mandate is to manage the government entities under the fund and to provide financial and strategic oversight on the same. So on one hand, it's management. On the other side is to provide financial and strategic oversight on all those entities. Therefore, the mandate entails, one, provide strategic oversight and active ownership of the state-owned enterprise under the fund, making sustainable and profitable investments that contribute to the wealth and creation of Zimbabwe, and also to minimize fiscal risk. We want to minimize fiscal risk, in other words, that these enterprises should not go to get money from the budget, PSI. We need to create value ourselves. So our job is value creation. To drive economic growth, job creation, infrastructure development, in line with the national development strategies and vision objectives, including Vision 2030 of becoming an upper middle income country. That's our aspiration, all of us as a country. Ensuring sound governance, transparency, accountability, and ethical standards and business practices. In leveraging partnerships, joint ventures, in any other form of partnerships that we might so decide. The framework, what I'm basically doing is to take you the context of the Mutapa, starting with who we are, what is our objective, what is our mandate. The whole idea is given the context. Context matters. So what our governance is framework? The fund adheres to good, sound corporate governance as a creature of the law, which derives power and powers from the Act. The fund has adopted a framework of rules, practices, and ethical standards, including accountability and transparency and fairness, to directly manage the fund. So at the top of what the board of the fund, but a very competent management at the board, at the fund, which is and the board oversight. So with a very strong board, strong management. In fact, I'm very proud of being the CEO of a very competent professional experts. They give us value for our money in this country. So I'm very happy as a CEO of Mutapa to lead a competent management staff at the fund, and with a very strong board of directors who are doing oversight of those people who are very professional. See, when you have a good team of experts, if you don't have a strong board, there's always going to be a clash. And I see too many clashes in this country between the board and management, because the board might be political and management might be professional or vice versa, or management become political and board. So I see that, but at the fund we don't have that. At the fund, God has imposed us with the good experts, both the management and the strong board. So we thank God for that. And we thank the President for his appointment of those board members whom I can say today to you in this public lecture. They are strong individuals, very competent in the staff they are doing. Thank you. And the fund is subscribes to transparency. I've read many articles talking about the transparency of the fund, that it's a fund for looting. People here, they say what they want. It's a good country. I like that. But if you look at the act, if you look at section 25 of the Sovereign Fund of Zimbabwe, to provide that the account of the fund shall be audited on a tenure basis by persons registered as public auditors in terms of public accounts in the Auditors Act, Chapter 22, 2712. And our current auditors are Grant County. And we work very closely with the Auditor General. Because after the audit, we also provide the same information to our Auditor General. But this is the position. And section 49 of the Public Finance Management Act provides that public entities, including ourselves, must maintain comprehensive records of financial transactions and prepare quarterly financial statements. The accounts must be audited and submitted to Treasury. And the minister referred in the Act is Minister of Finance. Minister of Finance has two roles. The Minister of Finance has also been the Treasurer. And they are subject to parliamentary scrutiny through authority vested in Parliament in terms of the section 119 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. So people will say, I know this fund is law unto itself. No ways. It can't be law unto itself. When you're in Zimbabwe, you've got Constitution of Zimbabwe, you've got the acts that are there. So today I'm just going to demystify that myth that this fund is a law unto itself. No, we are not. And Parliament's role in holding IMF and its entities to account is therefore firmly entrenched in the level of clause, including the Parliament, including the Constitution. And the tabling by the Minister of Finance of the funds supports in the Parliament ensures that the Parliament has got oversight on all the entities, including Mutapa Investment Fund. We have already given the Minister of Finance our annual report for 2024. As we work on the 2025 audit for him to do what is right, to do the needful. And therefore, MIF subscribes to this, and also we subscribe to Santiago principles. Santiago principles, there are 24 principles, which were developed by the International Forum of Sovereign Wealth Funds in 2008 in Santiago to promote transparency, good governance, accountability, good investment practices of managing sovereign wealth funds. We are also a member of the African Sovereign Investment Fund, SIF, of which I serve on that forum as in the executive committee of that forum in Africa, which is also an affiliate to the international one. The fund is accordingly, because of its transparency, we've also publicized our annual report with financials for 2024, which was done expeditiously, which was done for a record time, because we started our work in May 2024, but by the end of the year, last year, all those accounts have been audited. And joining the Sovereign Wealth Fund as it started 2014 up to 2024, those numbers are there. And the record is for everyone to see. And if you have any question on that, we're very happy to attend any if there are any questions. And in those, the next slide, please. The performance is highlighted in the annual report of 2024. We showed that the fund is with assets under management, gross value of 60 billion, with a fair value of 14.7 billion, and that within the fund, the fund by itself, it income of 11.9 billion first year of operation, and made a profit of made 88 million. And of course, if you were the fund, we also gave you the statistics which are very relevant, like gold production in tons, because we've got the fund, its assets, they are one of the largest producers of gold in this country. So that's also for fidelity, all the gold what comes through Fidelity Gold Refinery, which is under the fund, and the gold that we got, which is a very important statistic, 36 tons, 0.4 in 2024. In 2025, the same gold production which came through Fidelity, they're going to 46.7 tons. So the country is doing very well on gold, when the prices of gold is also going up. And in terms of a billion of liters that came through the pipeline, which is under NOIC, was 2.3 billion liters. And last year, it was 2.7 billion liters. So we are expanding the pipeline so that this, we can get more money revenue from that. And the electricity that was produced and sold to people, and of course, the number of people, over 24,000 people within the companies under Mutapa. So we are a very important employer as a group of companies under Mutapa. 24,000, and we want to increase that number. As we increase production and we increase our work streams within our institutions. Now, coming to Mutapa, this was the context of Mutapa. What is our architecture, our structure at Mutapa? Mutapa is divided into 6 clusters. As management, for purpose of easier to manage, we've divided the fund into 6 clusters. And what is on this slide is everything that what we want to do. So you see money, you see the land, you see electricity, you see infrastructure, you see mine, and you see the real estate. Next slide. So the structure goes, just give you a rundown of on the energy and trading cluster. That is where we've got Orex, Fidelity Gold Refinery, Petrotrade, ZESA, the power company. That's where they are. So that's energy and trading. Energy being ZESA and that energy over the year. And the trading being the gold that comes through this one. And then the second one there, the financial services, which is basically our banks and financial institutions, including home and the creative company, ECGC, they are under the financial. These ones, we got 100% shareholding in these entities. And the next cluster, which is the third one, is agriculture and industrials. That's where we've got allied timbers, other seeds, called social commission of the company, IDC, side of it. Again, 100% owned by government through Mutapa. Then with ICT and logistics, this is the fourth cluster, where you've got, this is your infrastructure cluster, you've got your Air Zimbabwe, the National Oil Company of Zimbabwe, because of the infrastructure that we provide for fuel. That's where you've got your NLZ, Power TSL, Net1, Tier 1, and the buses, Zuko. That's where they are. But the minerals cluster, we have got default and the Kuimba mines. And in Guimba, our shareholding there, as you can see, is 63%. Yeah, 37% is owned by the interest groups, which include the farmers, including DPC, Public Service Commission, IPEC. They are the 37% holders. So we would, but we manage on their behalf. And we also have interest in what we call investment associates. We're doing 100% control or more than 50%. We are also in the Zimri Holdings, 33.8%. Kotko Holdings, which is Kotko Cotton, 37.1%. People all think that Kotko is 100% owned by government. Government owns 37.1% of Kotko. But we run as if it was 100% owned by government because of the socio-economic aspect of cotton. Mineral resources, we are in 36.8% in Tulico. Then we also in financial assets, we are also in CBZ. 70.7% of CBZ is owned by the fund. In energy and trading in futures, we are in the Victoria for stock exchange, 40.8%. Those are the assets that the fund is looking after. So we have a diversified portfolio, which we need to sweat it, we need to work on it, create value from it, for the benefit of future generations and ourselves who are still alive. So we did this SWOT analysis of ourselves and what we are in the platform. So when we look at ourselves, after we have looked at these companies and our infrastructure where we're coming from, we said, what for us to come up with the strategy, we need to say what is our weaknesses and our strengths. We found that we have got more strength than the weaknesses. We've got a diversified portfolio, very strong government support, strong balance sheet. When you combine all these companies, potential for high returns, then long-term investment horizon, highly skilled manpower in the fund, in the board, and there are no bureaucracy, a red tape in the fund. Zero. We want to create one. So I'm sure to give us today or things tomorrow we will get to that point. Because we cannot afford that when we are running a business today, we take you 6 months if we respond as we shan't zero. So we will not be able to the fund. And I also pray to God that I don't want to also the same bureaucracy crept into us. I want to remain the same yesterday, today, tomorrow. Opportunities are in abundance, with abundant natural resources. I think we've got 30 to 40%. Let me just be on the conservative side. I think over 30% of the resources and the natural resources in this country. They are quite significant. In access to trade lines, we can create them. Saving money, mineral prices are going up, economic recovery prospects are good because of stability which Zimbabwe is enjoying, regional integration, commercial, certain, everything. So weaknesses, we only identified 2. Maybe we're less, but that's what we identified. After, I said the team is competent, they're experts, but we identified 2. Limited capital, growth capital in the country, so we need to look for it. But that weakness becomes an opportunity for us. Lack of value addition, we normally produce in Excel, goes in the raw form. And threats, climate change, as you can see, it's a real threat. Global economic conditions, geopolitics, everything, that's where they come. The competition for investments by other countries is a threat to us. Again, the government is supposed to know what we are doing. So, informed by the mandate, informed by the objectives of the fund, informed by our diagnostic assessment that we did as a fund, informed by the threats, the SWOT analysis, we then come up with a strategy for the fund. And for whatever it is worth, we came with a very simple strategy. We just call it fire. You call yourself a hit. I was saying to Professor Ramon, why are you hitting him? but it's a HIT. So we came up with our acronym for our strategy, FIRE, which means we need to fix, we need to invigorate, which is reviving, we need to reinforce, which is strengthening, and we need to extract the value from our companies. So when I come to you, Mankala, the tier one, we are coming with a FIRE economy strategy. What do we need to fix in you? What do we need to revive in you? How do we strengthen you to get money for the people of Zimbabwe? It's called extraction. We are very clear on that. So whenever we come to anyone, we are here with ZESA. We are saying, what should we fix? What should we revive? How should we strengthen you? By putting prepaid meter to everyone. Don't be afraid. So that we can get the value, so that our debtors are managed. Not to have people who don't pay electricity but they use it. Every day people complain, there was load shedding. Did you pay your money? I'm not part of the money, my postpaid meters are getting hard. So those are going to fix. So that is fixing. And we also went further to say, you know what? Now that we've got this FIRE strategy, we also looked at the Boston Consulting Group metrics. As we said, at universities is a reservoir of information. We also need to self-study these things and say, how then do you combine these things? So we looked at the Boston Consulting Group metrics for business, and also our FIRE strategy. The two of them combined them and come up with that very simple, illustrative diagram, whereby we say we've got stars within the group, we've got cash cows within the group, we've got question marks within the group, which I've given you already, and we've got jobs within the group. That is the categorization under the Boston Consulting Group metrics. So we use that same metrics to categorize our entities. And we said, who are the question marks? The likes of Telecel, a question mark. Silo, a question mark. CSC, it was a question mark, but understand. And what the dogs? No, sir, so whenever I come to dogs, because I love dogs, and I used to keep dogs at home. Musha, I do Fremantle. Nowadays I keep a lot of them for just necessity at home. But when I think of dogs, I think of big dogs. These ones you need to feed so that they don't get emotion. So your economic enablers, they're very important. They're like the dogs. So they say in English, keep sleeping dogs alive. I'm reasonable person. What happens? No, so some of these things don't temper them now too much. So in our jobs, category with the likes of NRZ, Zico, Zimbabwe, we need them. Can't kill them. Can't send them to SPCA. No, we need to keep them. We need to feed them. How do you feed them? This way now the stars and the cash cows are. The question marks and jobs need to robust fixing. And then the reviving strategies to grow them in unlock values. On the other side, the cash cows need to strengthen them to expand their operations and to provide support to those jobs and the question marks. So you get money from this, you leverage balance sheet, get say from NOIC, part of it goes to the small job, or to the question mark to silo, so that it becomes also income. So that's why the government of Zimbabwe put in place Mutapa. This, when you come out to being run in the silos, we're going to have that 360 degree. Now we have got it, that we can leverage and optimize the balance sheet within. That's what we are doing. So on our cash cows with NOIC, they will go to final. NOIC has got a monopoly capital called the pipeline from Beira to Harare. And we need to leverage on that. And that pipeline, companies that want to bring fuel, they use the pipeline. They pay about 8 cents per liter. That's why I said what we moved in that pipeline last year was 2.7 billion liters. And therefore it's become a cash cow. For them to go to the refinery, they don't mine gold. All the gold comes from somewhere to go through the refinery. Therefore they don't make losses. Therefore they are cash cows. POSB, they make money, they are stars. So in net one and tier one. Tier one and net one, they are affected by legacy debts. You know, we used to have PTC long back. PTC was split into two, tier one and net one. The loans that were there under PTC are still being assumed by these two, carrying the burden of PTC, post telecommunications, to a zero back. And therefore those debts are the ones that affect their comprehensive income bottom line. Otherwise, it's a different. So what is our focus? Our key focus areas is given the SWOT, given the categorization of companies. Therefore, our areas of focus in looking at those is basically, next slide, is the governance, financial performance, operational efficiency, sustainability of operations, human resources, strategy development, and capital growth, which is capitalization. Those are our key focus areas as a fund. And to date, we've done quite a lot. We've strengthened board effectiveness where ZESA. It's continuous, it's not at the end. We've insisted that there should be timely production of quality financials in line with the corporate, with the statutes of Zimbabwe. We are working on turnaround strategies for all the entities in 3 categories: short-term, medium-term, and long-term strategy for all the entities. We are working on improving performance in capital sourcing and injection of capital into those companies. We are an active investor and we are an engaged shareholder. We want to look on that. There is nothing too small and too big for us to consider. We are there for our entities. And so far what we have done, is to come into strategy. Yeah? What we have done on our strategic initiatives, starting with the mineral cluster, we are restructuring the mining cluster effective now to ensure that we are going to significantly default in Kuwema. I'll give one example of Jena mine. Default is got 15% of Jena, Kuwema has got 85% of Jena, but all of them are under Mutapa. So we are now restructuring that mining cluster so that we come up with 5 companies under the mineral cluster. So now we're going to have Mutapa Gold Resources, Mutapa Base Metals, Mutapa Energy Minerals, Mutapa PGM, Suit of Platinum Coffee Metals, and Mutapa Franchise. So we won't have the papers, the defaults, we now call them by what they are. They are our entities. Gold, so we focus on gold and say, you are the CEO of the gold, of Mutapa Gold Resources. You are the CEO of Mutapa Base Metals. You are the CEO of Mutapa Energy Minerals, your lithium and your nickel. Then you are the CEO of Mutapa Platinum Group of Metals. In the 5 years, these are new ventures to come. So when you acquire the minerals, tomorrow you might discover others, basement, other phosphates, they come under the funding. So we have room for growth. So that's our structure. How far have you gone on this one? The gold, Mutapa Gold Resources is now rational. The Minister of Finance has approved these ones, government has approved them, and all this has been approved. So that's where we are going. So this, and the board approved these things, and my job, I'm not paying for talking. The management works, the board approves, then I talk. This is a job. I don't know what members say. So they thank you for approving this thing. So I say, when you approve, I talk. I take the time away from everyone, and I talk myself. So thank you very much for according to that responsibility of telling the nation, telling this public lecture that is what we are doing. In terms of ZESA, energy, and trading, next slide, government has approved that we rebundle ZESA. We unbundled it to have ZPC, ZETTC, ZESA holdings, the like. And because we want efficiency, we've rebundled and reorganized ZESA. Again, this is approved by cabinet, and I think Zimbabwe is now approved the restructuring of this thing again. So we now go to have the ZESA Private Limited with 100% ownership of Zent and 100% ownership of Powertel for Jambi. So ZPC, ZETTC, ZESA holdings, they're all under ZESA Private Limited. So all the rest, they become divisions. So a division of production of electricity, which is the ZPC, division of the distribution of energy in the sales thereof. So we are now in the process of informing the creditors, the lenders, and all other stakeholders on this matter. So we've again moved. So in Mutapa we move quite a lot. Because of the very competent management, the competent board. So we move. NOIC, we are working with them to increase capacity. The idea here is to increase capacity to 5 billion liters a year. It's about 400 million liters per month. 7. It used 1.8. Now it's the capacity 3 billion. Want to move from 3 billion to 5 billion. Because as the competitivity increases, more fuel is moving into the pipeline, and we also want to minimize the usage of trucks on our roads. At Forex and Fidelity, we are consolidating possibilities into one, so that Forex becomes a division of Fidelity Gold Value. Because all of them, they are finding their value addition. They are adding value to gold, adding value to diamonds and gold. So they have become one entity. And they are all under 100% concept. Agriculture. Our initiative there in agriculture is to ensure that the fertilizer value chain is realized. So we are capitalizing in refurbishing Andorra, Zinfos, ZFC, so that this will produce the basal fertilizer at this country. Fertilizer is a very important input in the agriculture. For food security, we need enough well-priced fertilizer. In the several chemicals, we are working with Massawa to ensure that Mutapa becomes the major shareholder through rights issue. So that we also have the fertilizer value chain of the top increasing. So when you look at this fertilizer value chain, for two types of major fertilizers, the basals and the AA, it was in between what you also all those things. They are all there. Because we love Zimbabwe we want Zimbabwe to achieve its food security strategy. You can have the rains that they're coming, if you don't fertilizers, at ITC, industrials, we are reorganizing ITC. So that we have two many layers of bureaucracy, but ITC is a group, Cabinet is a holding company, and all business under that again, communicated. So we suffer from simplicity in the fund. We want to simplify things, so that's what we're doing. Privatization of revitalization of cold storage company. Here we move the company from joint venture, they both started different. We then went to the business rescue practitioner, Mangudya, and the company we moved it from business rescue to administration. It's now 100% under Mutapa. And last week we started advertising for a turnaround strategist, where a consultant management who will work with us, give you the funds to go forward. You understand all the abattoirs that are here, the slaughterhouses, but that is Blawa, Chinon, Asungo. We need all those to be operational. And CSC, by the way, in terms of sustainability, the life of CSC is longer than that of a life of mine. This is continuous. So we talk about ESG, environment, social, and governance. We see the more in CSC. So those farmers who are occupying CSC properties, are going to convert them to our growers. So they grow for us the beef. But what we want in the CSC is the beef. So we want more beef to come from those farmers. In that one of the areas that these strategies which are working on. So we are very clear in our intention. At area Z, rehabilitation of area Z. We have again short-term, medium-term, and long-term plans. In the short term, we have requested, and we are doing that, we funded area Z so that they start hiring or leasing locomotives. At area Z, we need 4 things: locomotives, wagons, to repair the track and signaling. And that is good work in progress. Working with the CFM, and others, working on the track, and on our part, we are providing funding to get some locomotives for now, and also refurbishing those wagons that are at NRZ. We've got very good, competent, genuine engineers and people who work very well in these yards at NRZ, Blawa, so they can fix those. Sometimes there's a body that was missing onto the wagon, so they are pushing those. They can do about 60 wagons a month to repair, so that they need a bit of capital, which was given them. They work on it, and they've seen it also on the rail, on the track, some traction. Those ones are these locomotives, so they are moving. You might not see it by the human eye, but in terms of freight, it's moved. We reached the low of 180 million tons per year. We're now going upwards again, with the best. So our speech is that, and our message is that, whatever we're doing, we're teaching the body. We cannot go down in faith. We cannot go upwards. And upwards is our limit. There's no limit to going upwards. It is to get football. We are purchasing buses, procuring buses. And we're also going to long-term plans with some suppliers of kits, so that Devin and Willowville also produce buses and trucks for Zimbabwe. And this is what we have been doing. At the area Zimbabwe, we are reviving them, leasing aircrafts so they can increase the frequency of their flights both or 3 times locally, which is Zimbabwe, regionally, and going international. So that's our strategy. And the CEO of ZESA who is here, he will testify that this is a good work in progress. He's only using ATRs for the funds that is using for the domestic flights. And we're using our umbrella. Government is giving us the authority to sell the 777s, whose money will then use it to put a deposit for new small aircraft for domestic. And we are putting in place a facility to lease, hire a bigger plane, one of these Boeings, to fly around in London, a route, and good work has been put in this place. And I was advised by the chairman of Zimbabwe, the CEO, that by June of this year, or before June, they wanted it earlier. I said, okay, do it earlier, but for purpose of my public lecture, I shall just say by June, we need to fly around London. So that at the end of the day, that route is one of the most important routes in Africa, was just go direct from here into UK. Before we used to export our hot culture in the morning or in the evening. In the mornings only in the shops UK. So this one is coming. And we thank the board and management for this observation of what they're not doing. Then in ZESA, we're organizing. ZESA, we put it under, it was put by the board under administration so that we can sort it out. We've got very good plans for it. The plans that God has given us, which are good plans to make sure that it prospers. And this we are working on it. And in financial services, we're consolidating the insurance businesses as a strategy. And we're capitalizing our banks so that they become a well-run and capitalized bank to provide funding. With the real estate cluster, we're consolidating our assets. Also, too many properties under CSC, any other properties, AFC properties, IDC, somewhere, only in new ventures. So we are consolidating them. Eventually, down the line, we also come up with this real estate trust. So that one is destination. We want to unlock value from our real estate. We are also working with some companies that are having difficulties in this country to try to resuscitate them. We are still in a conversation with the better bricks, which is under administration. Our argument is that cannot have a country without its bricks. Most of the bricks in this country that are being produced by foreigners, it is not sustainable for the country. Because one day we might end up importing the bricks. So we are still in good conversation with the business, like the rest traditional, who is working on better bricks. And the rest of other entities that are working, apart from ZESA, also working with Africa to see how best we can manage the backbone communication for the country. So we've a lot of things. As I go towards the end, you know, to look at Mutapa's contribution in the national economy. When I look at all this that I'm saying, the sum total of it, we need to contribute positively to the economy. And the best way to show our contribution to the economy is what is spelled out in the National Development Strategy #2, blueprint. And the blueprint is very clear. Paragraph 334 of the ADS2 blueprint, it says that the fund will leverage with its assets to secure funding, support ADS2 priorities, and the fund targets raise $1 billion to support NDS programs. Not our companies, but over and above our entities for the economy. To uplift the livelihood of people in Zimbabwe. It also says on 336 further, in this regard, Mutapa Investment Fund will reveal on its group balance sheet, which I spoke about earlier, of over 30 enterprises transferred from 9 ministries to the fund to raise financial resources for other NGOs. He said the proceeds from the revival of portfolio companies under its ambit realizes dividends, asset disposal, bond issuance, becoming towards foreign exchange reserve accumulation. There's also another expectation that the Mutapa Fund during NTS to require to leverage these assets to raise capital to invest and grow, invest the surpluses under the fund. In other words, to come up with a fund, a stabilization fund for Zimbabwe, which will be used during the times of need and or for future generations. And it also says on 339, improved performance of assets under Mutapa will lead to increased contribution to fiscal, job creation, export growth, service delivery, among others. The fund will under NGS 2 be required to engage both the local and foreign investors to mobilize and deploy capital to underperforming portfolio companies, thereby reducing fiscal risk and ultimately the need for budget support from our entities. We need to weed out from the budget. So in short, from an economic perspective, we are saying the trickle-down effect of MIF fire strategy should come up with this that is here on the screen. I say Mutapa works very well. We need to improve performance of the companies under Mutapa, which will lead to increased contribution to fiscal, job creation, export growth, and self-delivery, which will lead to more resources for the economy, which means for treasury and wider economy. It leads to infrastructure projects being done, devolution in the economy being done, social services being attended to, and the creation of the sovereign wealth fund for Zimbabwe, so that we leave no one and no place behind in the economy. In conclusion, my conclusion is in 4 parts. That what are the desired outcomes or desired results if we do what we are supposed to do as a Mutapa. We are supposed to say Mutapa is successfully done its job to measure against these 4 items. The first one, we expect Mutapa, if it is performed well, to have improved corporate governance across its portfolio companies. Colleagues are very honest, which I always do every day. The major elephant in the room or in the country is about corporate governance. When we did our diversity assessment, corporate governance becomes critical for us to do, which means the relationship between management and board and shareholder, and the entities with accountability, entities with responsibility. This is the major elephant in the room in Zimbabwe. Corporate governance. Sometimes we have too many chiefs without Indians, so to say, whereby companies are over-managed and underrated. That's a major problem. And companies are over-managed and underrated for the problem. It's called governance. We are seeing them. We deal with it on a daily basis. You have no apology to make on that. And that's what we do. That's why when you say you are managing, we know what it is. Not only under Mutapa, I said in Zimbabwe. I'm very careful about that. The other second one is to improve self-delivery of portfolio companies under the fund. We need to improve our service delivery. I keep on talking to the acting CEO of ZESA that one of the key focus areas of service delivery